Sactown Sports.
Jay, you know how it is when you're after a guest for a long time, kind of that holy grail. It's the Drive Guys here. Kayla Anderson with us, Whitey and Jay Johnson. And sometimes you just got to be determined, right? You can't take no for an answer.
Got to keep pushing the narrative,
baby. Can't do it. And so I was so thrilled when I found out today that our next guest had time to join us. And
okay.
I know he's very, very busy. I know.
Is he?
He's doing a great job stepping in for Greg Papa on the 49er radio play-by-play. I've known him a long time. He's a great, great guy. We welcome Guy Haberman back to the show. How are you, Guy Haberman?
KG?
Yes.
It's good to see you.
It's
good to talk to
you. Yeah.
How's the jumper?
It's sweet, like butter.
Wet? Tell him it's wet.
Still, yeah. The J is wet.
Yeah, that's right. Guy and I played a little pickup. We played a little pickup.
Yeah, I've seen the jumper.
Yeah. Guy, did you have any inkling that Thursday would turn out the way it did? Not only with the 49ers winning, but it being, just such an incredible game. Did you have any idea it would be anything like that?
I mean, not like that. I mean, I definitely thought they could win the game. It feels like anytime you get, the old Thursday night, remember like with the way we used to think about Thursday night football, it was like, none of these games, these matchups are never any matchups anybody wants to see, but sometimes any crazy stuff happens all the time. And the matchups have gotten better and they've started just feeling like regular NFL games. But, given the history of Shanahan and McVay and how the Niners won a lot of those matchups, even when they weren't good teams, I thought they had a chance. And then, how it is, everybody knows this feeling of, especially people who like, and if you've ever bet on a game and you're like, oh, somebody's it's a basketball game, and especially like college, like, oh, it's a 14.5, they're a 14.5 point favorite, and, in the NCAA tournament. And then you watch 10 minutes, you're like, oh my God, I should not have picked that team to cover. Once the Niners take the ball and drive the field, you forget about the fact that they're 8.5 point underdogs. It just looks like a regular football game. And now the flip side of that is when they're up 14-0, you also know the Rams are not going away, and the Niners led the last 3 times going to the fourth quarter, lost all 3 against the Rams. So, I think that quickly you had to flip your mind to that direction too. Like the Rams are definitely coming back. Like, again, to make a basketball analogy, like any NBA game where it's a 20-point game with 8 minutes left in the third quarter, and you're like, oh, this is definitely going to be tied with 5 minutes left, so. But to have the ball punched out at the 1 yard line, I thought for sure I thought they should have let them score. Like the Rams were absolutely scoring a touchdown at the end of regular. I mean, I didn't say it on the air, but I thought it. I wouldn't have said that, but yeah.
Guy, I mean, the Niners fans have probably been biting their nails this season because of the type of ways that they're winning these games. But the biggest thing is the injuries, and the injuries to big name players. How surprising has it been for you to watch them get these dubs with just the list of injuries that have piled up?
Yeah, I mean, surprising. I thought the Jacksonville game, I really felt how discombobulated their passing game could be given the lack of continuity. And Kendrick Bourne is here. And he's been here for, at that point, a couple of weeks, but he was here, several years ago. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Russell Gage, like you just felt that it wasn't, especially when Pearsall was out, that it wasn't Pearsall and, Jennings. And it really hasn't been much of that. We really haven't had a lot of, Pearsall and Ayuk. Like even those guys, if they get on the field together by the end of this year, have not played a lot together. And then to lose Bosa, that's an impossible guy to replace. But for me, I've really felt it on just when you look out there pre-snap, you go, okay, who are the receivers? All right. Sky Moore, new. Kendrick Bourne, new again. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, new. None of the tight ends had caught a touchdown pass before this year. That's where you really feel it. And then obviously the quarterback thing too, I mean, you saw, if you're watching on TV, because I looked at the monitor when Mac Jones was laying on the ground last week, and I see Adrian Martinez guys like hitting him on the shoulder pads, like, all right, here we go. He's never been in a game before, but yeah.
Guy
Crazy.
Haberman, nice enough to join us. Guy, of course, is a legend in the Valley because he's a former host of Kings Live, among other things. With Bobby Jackson, who's now an assistant with the Kings.
And Doug Christie.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Katie.
Yeah. Guy, I know that Pop and you are very close, and I respect, obviously, the privacy of your conversations. He's talked about how you and he have been in contact. Is there anything you can share with us in terms of how he's helped you get acclimated so quickly to the 49ers booth?
Just his, I mean, especially when it first happened, you're so aware that I'm very aware, right? Like whatever you're feeling, he's battling, he's something real,
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember before the first game feeling a lot of things about it. And he, as if sensed it, sent me a message and just was very supportive. I mean, that's the biggest thing is like, it's doing what he does at the level that he does it, as is I think largely unmatched. And there's not one thing you could say like, okay, don't forget before the first downs, breathe a little,
Yeah.
But just that, I mean, that meant more than anything. That was the biggest thing. Is just is him
supporting
him saying go get him. Yeah, but I'm not the like he's got something that a lot of people have been through, and the people who have been through it out there know what it feels like, and the rest of us who haven't been through it can only try to imagine it. But it's been great. He's been doing radio up here, as he started doing that, and it's great to hear him. And because it's streaming, see him, and he sounds just like he'll sound when he's back, which is cool.
Yeah, and he's also on every Friday with Carmichael Dave here on our station.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I love all the connections.
Yeah. Yes.
It's been fun just listening to how Kyle Shanahan is talking about this team this year, Guy, because we've heard the words from him like there's something different about these guys. And, of course, again, the starters aren't out there. But what is different to you to start the season? I know we're still, early on in.
The kicking game?
Word.
I mean, like every game's a one-score game, and they're making all their kicks. So, Eddie Pinheiro, I think the one thing they've always done is they've looked for players that have a certain physicality and toughness and all that. But they have found ways that I'm not sure why. I don't know what you put your finger on, other than they are making kicks, and the Robert Saleh factor for sure. But they were 1-5 in the division last year, and I think 4 of those losses were by a combined 13 points, and now they're 3-0 in the division, and those 3 wins are whatever they are combined. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know, 9. So that is obviously now. Why is that happening? Maybe the experience of last year. Maybe for some of these younger guys learning how to win. I think they're better in the margins, and that's Saleh, and that's the kicking game. And McCaffrey's been healthy. Yeah. I think last year there was the whole talk about, well, they're bad in the red zone, but don't worry, that's just because of Christian. When he comes back, and they'll score touchdowns in the red zone. And it's not that simple, because not running the ball effectively. That's a Kittle thing too. And it's a red zone thing. Kittle scored that first touchdown in the red zone against Seattle week 1. So they've had to be really buttoned down in the margins. And honestly, it's Eddie Pinheiro. It feels like, if you're asking like the little differences, I'd say it's Saleh, it's Pinheiro. I think Kyle has been really good this year, managing and play calling. I know there was some debate about should he have thrown the ball on 3rd and 9. My feeling in the moment was it's such a dangerous position to be in. I would have run the ball and made McVay use all his timeouts, but I know there was a hot button issue, so we could go to game management class on that if we want. But I think he's been really good. I think he's been really good. Inspired play calling this year.
Guy, I have a suggestion for you, and you're welcome to run with this. When next time Eddie Pinheiro makes a kick, the old Foo Fighters, "There Goes My Hero," I could hear you going, "There goes Pinheiro," and you can.
That's
go
good.
Ahead. You can.
That's
run
good.
with that. Yeah, if you want to, feel free.
Well, we've got he's Pinheiro. Tim Ryan said the first game he's Pinheiro Dinero.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
So I
yes.
said last week when he made the 59.5 yarder, Eddie Money,
Right.
I was happy with that.
That's
happy
very
with that.
good. That's very
It's
strong.
okay.
Yeah, it's very good. Guy Haberman is with us, and of course you hear him.
I know you have a lot of ideas though, so you can share them.
Thank you. I will. You mentioned the running game a little bit. Do the 49ers need to start running the ball more effectively, or has Kyle figured out a kind of a workaround getting back to this offense's original West Coast roots and throwing that old 5-yard handoff?
You know what? That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah, they got to run the ball better,
Yeah.
and hopefully Kittle coming back is going to help solve that. I mean, it's not. I don't know what the stat is, but I think when you look at box scores, throwing for 350 is not the recipe. It feels good and it works in the Big 12, but that is not what you want to be doing in the NFL. That usually means you're fighting tooth and nail to the very end in a shootout, and your defense isn't stopping anybody. So converting 3rd and 7s are great, but you have to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to run the ball. They're going into that game on Thursday. Christian McCaffrey, which was averaging 0.6 yards before contact.
Ooh.
Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's crazy. I thought it was one of the greatest. What was his? Let me pull up the box score. What was his yards per carry the other day? Like 2.6. It was one of the great 2.6 yards per carry performances. I mean, truly, because it was 2.6, but I could think of 3 or 4 off the top of my head. 6-yard carries, 5-yard carries when they absolutely needed it. And in addition to his 8 catches for 82 yards. But yeah,
Gotta run the ball.
You got to run the ball. You got to run.
I know it's crazy, Guy, because we were talking about, we're like, whoa, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, the slot receiver. I mean, never mind, because you look at right now the yards in terms of the league, and I mean, he's 6th on there.
Total yards?
Exactly,
Yeah.
in terms of total yards. But it's been fun, obviously, seeing that, but you'd like him eventually, he's going to run the ball. I mean, that's what he is. When it comes to throwing the ball, though, in terms of quarterback Mac Jones, who has stepped up a little when he's needed to be called on, I will admit I'm a little surprised from what we've gotten from him, just to see the toughness. I think it just proved all of us who maybe didn't believe Mac Jones could be a starter eventually in the future probably can be.
Yeah, I think that I always love the Sando tiers list when it comes out before every year, the Mike Sando tiers list. And anytime you just look at a list of quarterbacks, it's clear. And one of the great Kyle Shanahan quotes was the week before that draft when he took Trey Lance and Mac Jones was drafted, and Kyle was like pre-angry about the fact that everybody thought it would be dumb to draft Mac Jones, even though he wasn't going to draft Mac Jones. He still wanted to defend the logic of it at the time.
Yeah.
But he made a comment. What he said was there aren't 32 people on the face of the earth that can play quarterback at an acceptable level. And I think about that quote all the time because it's so true. And it doesn't mean that the top 32 guys are the starters and then 33 is the backup to 1 and 34 is the backup to 2. Every year there's a couple of backups that are better than 10 of the starters or something like that. And, we're seeing it with Baker Mayfield. You see it all the time. You saw it with Steve Young, as his career went on, and Rich Gannon and Alex Smith and on and on and on. Most quarterbacks who have bad situations, most of them are not lucky enough to still have something left when they get to a good situation. And Mac Jones is in a great situation. He's maximized and we're seeing it. Now, the league is full of histories of backups who played a game that was good or 2 games that were good, and that's kind of their peak, and that's all they can do, and they start getting overexposed when they play 3 or 4 or 5. And so we'll see what happens with Mac, but he's played a lot of football, in the same way that Darnold's played a lot of football, that he's not a small sample size guy. So, I think he's looking the way Darnold would have looked if he had played 5 games for the Niners. That chance never came, but
Guy Haberman is.
Plus he saw a dead body.
That's right.
Before the game.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Are there such things as good omens, or are there just omens and all omens are bad?
There's omens, and then whether it's good or not, Guy, that's up to you and what you make of it. I'm Whitey Gleason.
I got on the bus and somebody was like, hey, Max just saw a dead body. And I was like, is that good or bad? I knew it going into the game, and I was like, I don't know. And I texted Papa. I'm like, hey, just as you're talking about the game, I know you're on right now. Just heads up, Max saw a body. Like, oh my God.
I see dead people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which unit of the 49ers, in your professional opinion, Guy Haberman, faces the biggest challenge this week against the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are riding high in that clunky old pirate ship of theirs?
Good question.
Secondary?
My first inclination, just because Baker's throwing it all over the place. And I think, the Malik Mustafa return will be welcome. Marquise Siegel's been really good as a rookie, but you've seen teams kind of go at him. Saw it last week a little bit. So if they could get, Pinnock, Mustafa, Siegel in good spots, some Jair Brown, I think that's probably where I start. I thought the offensive line, but they protected Mac pretty well. He started getting beat up though as that game went along. And I don't know if that was part of Kyle's thinking why he didn't throw the ball on 3rd and 9 from his own end zone. But, I think there's a lot of pressure on them this week, just keeping, if it's Mac Jones, and I would expect it to be Mac Jones, just keeping him healthy. Mm-hmm. We have these debates like, what happens when Brock is healthy? Well, let's have Mac be healthy for a while, right? He's getting crushed right now. Let's get him some bananas and some hydration. And, the cramps last week, he's going to Tampa. I haven't checked the dew point or whatever, humidity. What is it? But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
We gotta, you know what I mean.
Yeah. You got to throw like a mannequin in the bay or something so he can see it before.
Right?
Hey, look, Mac, it's another one. That's a good omen, buddy. I mean, whatever it takes at this level, Guy.
Yeah.
Guy,
bring your own.
Exactly. When it comes to this defense, without Nick Bosa right now and for the rest of the season, who in your eyes, and I know, they could make a move, but who can you see stepping up with some of these younger guys? Because I know there's been a lot of them that we've seen some really good stuff from.
Yeah, I mean the Bryce. Now I know Bryce is not in the category of what you're asking, but he's been fantastic. I think you're looking for the guy you drafted 11th, Michael Williams. There's not a bottomless bucket of young guys, and your vets. Bryce Huff has been fantastic, but can you get better every week, Michael? So he's at the top of the list. I mean, Alfred Collins, to see what he has been able to do, he's not playing perfect football, but it's because they're so thin and he's a rookie, he's getting the opportunity to make plays. And there's some good and there's some bad. And every week it feels like there's a little more good. And you hope a young player gets, some confidence from being able to step up in a big moment like he did last week. So, but you got to start with the guy. I think you got to start with the guy drafted 11th, Michael Williams. That's, he's not a Bryce Huff or Nick Bosa explosive edge rusher, but that's okay. Good against the run. He does collapse the pocket well, and at least you have Bryce Huff on the other side to take advantage of it.
Guy, I don't know the extent to which you can talk about this. I know in the NBA there's limits on what a broadcaster can say when it comes to trades. I want to ask you about you think the 49ers, I think there are. I want to ask you what you thought about the possibility of going out and getting a defensive end. I don't know the extent to which you can address that, but
I can say whatever I want.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
No, right. I don't know anything, so I don't know if that's benefits anybody.
Yeah. You think they're going to go out and get some help now?
No, I mean, yeah, like I would say, and this is how I felt about it. I guess this is how I felt about it right away. Is I do understand the desire to go make a move right now, but I think what they're doing is kind of what I expect them to do. It's what teams do, right? With the deadline a month away, you're not going to get the most beneficial price at this moment. The Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals, let's say, they really have no reason to keep him, so they should trade him, but they should ask for more today than the last for him in a month. But I do think the way to handle it is you wait and see, like, is this team worth adding one player for? What are we willing to trade a second round pick for one player? If that guy makes us a Super Bowl contender or can put us in the NFC Championship game, you're kind of waiting to see how the conference shakes out. Is this thing looking pretty wide open? Okay, yes, it is. Okay, now you've won a game against each divisional opponent. You know, I think every game you win makes you more likely to go make a move. So I'm interested to hear about the NBA rules on broadcasters talking about trades.
Well, you can't talk about what it is you can't talk about a player who's under contract to another team.
Oh, if you're a team employee?
Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
Even if a trade has been announced, but it's not official yet, you can't say, "Oh, so and so's coming here. He's going to be great." I think somebody
Gotcha.
was it on this station. Somebody might have done it and gotten in a lot of trouble, but somebody from another team. But Guy, I just want to say,
interesting.
yeah, big fan, been a friend of yours for a long time, and watching you even in the preseason when you're doing the preseason games, my wife saying, "Sheena, that's Guy Haberman doing the game." And I know these circumstances are, they're far from, it's tough circumstances, but it's been great to hear you, and I really enjoy your play-by-play, and I'm thrilled for you, and I know you're making the best of this. And good job, Guy Haberman.
Well,
Thanks for coming on with us.
That's kind of you to say. What I said about Alfred Collins, I think applies to everybody, and what I said about the quarterbacks, like so much stuff, system quarterbacks and young people having success, like. I think you're lucky to be a system quarterback in life, to find a system that, a place that fits you or people that fit you. And certainly being young and being encouraged by people who you look up to is a big deal. And you did that for me when I moved to the Bay Area. And it was critical to feel like, oh, maybe I belong and maybe I can hang and that kind of stuff. And so I think the people that know what a wonderful person you are and how supportive you've been of me is absolutely was critical at a time when I needed it.
Wow.
Even though we haven't seen each other in a while, but you're a wonderful friend. And I think of you and the Gleason family every time I light my menorah that I got for my wedding.
Nice.
I think of you every year, at least. So
wow, I'll take that. Well, thank you, Guy. I appreciate it. I know you're super, super, super busy. I probably am going to pester you again to see if we can't work something out, but I understand.
We can
so
definitely
busy.
work something. Yeah. Of course. Thank you. I appreciate you asking.
Thank you, Guy. The French pronunciation, Guy Haberman.
Oh.
Yeah. No trivia today, huh?
Not today. Next time.
Next time.
Guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Guy.
Great job.
All right.
Good luck this week. We appreciate it, man.
Okay. Good to see you.
Yeah. Guy Haberman. Yeah. Voice of the 49ers.
There you go. What a cool gig. Like, I know right now, like you said,